We assume scarcity is natural. It isn't, and one asteroid could prove it. Somewhere between Mars and Jupiter, there is an asteroid called 16 Psyche. It does not look dramatic. No ice, no atmosphere, no glowing tail. From a distance, it is simply a dense metallic body drifting through space. But on paper, it is extraordinary. 16 Psyche contains vast quantities of iron, nickel, and platinum group metals. More metal than humanity has ever mined across its entire history. Enough to reshape global supply chains, enough to influence entire industries, enough to generate headlines that feel closer to mythology than reality. You may have heard the claim that this single asteroid could make everyone on Earth a billionaire. That number is theoretical, because in economics, theory breaks quickly when reality arrives. When supply becomes effectively infinite, price trends toward zero. When something becomes abundant, it stops being valuable in the way it once was. You cannot be a billionaire if the thing you own is no longer worth anything. So Psyche is not a story about instant wealth. It is something more subtle and far more destabilizing, because Psyche still matters, not because of how much metal it contains, but because of what it represents. Wealth has never been only about price. It has always been about leverage. Throughout history, power has never come from simply owning resources. It comes from controlling access to them. Gold mattered because it standardized trust. Coal mattered because it powered factories and cities. Oil mattered because it moved economies, militaries, and borders. In every case, the resource itself was not the source of power. The systems built around it were: transportation, processing, distribution, governance. And space follows the same rule. In space, access matters more than ownership. Every resource frontier humanity has ever encountered follows a familiar pattern. First comes exploration, then comes infrastructure, then comes consolidation. Asteroid mining will follow the same path. The winners will not be the ones who claim ownership of the metal. They will be the ones who can reach these objects reliably, the ones who can extract material autonomously, the ones who can refine it without returning to Earth, and the ones who can move it at scale. That distinction matters, because asteroid mining is not a treasure hunt. It is industrialization, and industrialization never arrives suddenly. It arrives quietly, through logistics, through standards, through engineering decisions that appear incremental until they are irreversible. Railroads did not make farmers wealthy. They made distribution powerful. Oil did not reward drillers alone. It reorganized geopolitics. The internet did not elevate inventors. It elevated platforms. 16 Psyche follows the same pattern. The metal is not the prize. The infrastructure that moves it is. Mining an asteroid requires far more than rockets. It requires launch cadence, not spectacle, but repetition. It requires orbital manufacturing, facilities that can operate without constant resupply from Earth. It requires autonomous systems that can function for years without human oversight. It requires energy production that scales without gravity as a limiting factor. It requires coordination across orbits, time delays, and legal frameworks that do not yet exist. This is not exploration, it is the extension of civilization itself. And extension introduces a challenge humanity has always struggled with. As systems grow larger, coordination becomes more difficult than construction. The first machines are easy. The second generation is harder. The third requires rules, standards, and shared assumptions. History shows that technological capability almost always outpaces governance. Railroads were built before labor laws. Factories scaled before environmental regulation. Digital platforms grew before societies understood their consequences. Space will follow the same trajectory. Infrastructure will arrive first. Rules will arrive later. And tension will fill the gap. Abundance does not remove friction. It relocates it. From extraction to logistics to governance to coordination at planetary and orbital scales. Food surpluses did not end conflict. Energy abundance did not eliminate inequality. Technological leaps often arrive decades before institutions capable of managing them. Progress creates pressure, not because resources disappear, but because old systems stop making sense. 16 Psyche does not eliminate scarcity. It weakens its grip. And that matters even if asteroid mining develops slowly. Even partial access changes incentives. If materials can be sourced off-planet, construction logic changes. Satellites no longer need every component lifted from Earth's surface. Space stations no longer depend entirely on terrestrial supply chains. Energy infrastructure begins to scale beyond planetary limits. Manufacturing begins to detach from geography. Scarcity does not vanish, but its leverage diminishes. There is another reason Psyche matters. Mining is one of the most environmentally destructive activities on Earth. It scars landscapes, pollutes water, consumes enormous amounts of energy, and concentrates environmental damage far from those who benefit. Moving heavy industry off-planet would not heal Earth, but it could relieve pressure. Not a solution, a release valve, a structural shift in where costs are paid. Even partial change matters. If some extraction and processing occur beyond Earth's gravity well, industrial logic changes. Not everything must come from below our feet. Not every ecological cost must be paid locally. That alone alters long-term trajectories. But Psyche's deepest consequence is not economic. It is human. For nearly 10,000 years, survival required labor. We worked to eat. We worked to endure. We worked because effort justified existence. Work was not just income. It was identity. It told us who mattered, who contributed, who belonged. If survival no longer requires labor, work stops defining who we are. That creates a vacuum. A world where time becomes abundant, but meaning does not. Where days are flexible, but direction is unclear. Humanity has never faced this question at scale. Every civilization before us was shaped by scarcity, by limits, by necessity. 16. Psyche does not answer the question, it removes the excuse for avoiding it. If you want more scenarios that challenge what we think we know about the universe, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because this may not be a matter of if, but when.